What do you say when a bad movie looks this good?
You really think that they sent us here to develop drugs for slow kids? Well, what? So they can get A's and learn to play the oboe on their way to Harvard?
Deep Blue Sea is the third film in a series about evil super sharks. It follows the late 90s film and its far too late 2017 sequel. The first movie is a classic of schlock and unintentional comedy.
We're going to pull together and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this.
Someday I may go into that one more, but it's such a favorite bad movie of mine that I'm sure that video will be a lot longer than this one. The second film came out very recently and is the kind of quality production that used to be found on the bottom shelf of the direct-to-video section at Blockbuster. You know what? No, let's go even more obscure. The direct-to-video shelf at a Jumbo Video. I still miss those popcorn machines.
Popcorn.
Very enterprising and highly logical.
Most of Deep Blue Sea 2 takes place in the same sheet metal room. It's mostly a lower budget, lower effort retread of the first film, only now they are making sharks super smart because a billionaire is afraid of the robot apocalypse. Seems reasonable. They add a new element with swarms of piranha-like baby sharks, but that isn't enough to justify the sequel. The characters are so one-dimensional they're practically translucent, and somehow the CGI is worse than a nearly 2 decades old film. It's a bad movie, and not even in a fun way. So needless to say, I wasn't expecting much when I saw the third installment was available on Netflix, so I turned it on while lying in bed currently in the middle of a bout of COVID. Imagine my surprise when I was suddenly met with some of the most gorgeous underwater photography I have ever seen. I seriously had a moment where I wondered if I had actually put on BBC's Planet Earth. They shot this whole film in and around an actual coral reef filled with actual sea animals. They even got up in actual sharks' faces, which I think is literally the first time you've seen a real shark in this whole franchise. This setting is also immediately eye-catching. The last 2 films have been set at research facilities floating in the middle of the Pacific. The first film had a pretty impressive facility, but the second one felt like a concrete bunker and an old dock they had access to. Here we get something new in the form of Little Hope. I mean Little Happy. Sorry, I'm still angry about how bullshit the whole Dark Pictures thing has been.
Well, here's a hint for people that can't cooperate.
Cooperate!
Shut up, you discount Rod Serling. Anyway, Little Happy is a human-built island created to support a community of fishers and locals. It used to have 50+ people, but is now down to 1 married couple and a documentary film crew. Being a Deep Blue Sea film, you can expect them all to be menaced by a trio of super sharks. This time it's 3 bull sharks that hold a connection to the second film. Hot on the shark's trail is a boatload of scientists and mercenaries, led by Dr. Richard Lowell. The main character of the film is Dr. Emma Collins. She is a conservationist and filmmaker who is covering the effects of climate change on Little Happy and life in the reef. She is especially focused on the great white population, as the reef is a nursery for the animals. I actually like this upfront messaging on climate change. It's rare to have a schlock movie that tries to have a little bit of a theme, but it gives the lead some instant likability.
This is what the Florida Keys will look like. And Houston. And New Orleans.
It also helps deter the evil shark trope that was perpetrated by the film's predecessors. This messaging and theme is pretty firmly abandoned by the time she's crushing a shark in a trash compactor, but it's nice while it lasts. She also has a motivation that I find tiresome when it comes to female scientists and explorers in film. She's doing it because her dad used to do it. She even gets the standard issue older guy that was dad's best friend.
Listen, Shaw, I know my dad was your CO and you feel like you owe him, but I'm way too old for parenting advice.
It's lazy and comes from a certain entrenched male perspective that women can only get into STEM fields if she wants to be like daddy. The script is by far the weakest thing when it comes to Deep Blue Sea 3. There's some fun and inventive things, but the dialogue is interminable. Most of it is blatant exposition with little to no character, and the rest is one-liners that are physically painful to hear. Also, if you thought the last guy had a nonsensical reason for breeding super sharks, meet this asshole. At one point, he says he wants to capture the sharks so he can use their super brains to give humanity empathy about climate change. It has something to do with how the sharks are bonded to their dead mom's transceiver, but I'm not sure what the hell that has to do with anything.
If we can develop the same kind of bond in people, imagine how we can change the world to make humanity feel, Emma, and from that, to act.
Being the third iteration of a series means you have to change things up a bit, and Deep Blue Sea 3 decided that a human antagonist was the trick. The thing is though, it's more or less a successful decision. Bren Foster plays Lucas, an appropriately sized meathead mercenary. He gives a pretty good Frank Grillo-esque performance. There is nothing tremendously new in his descent into rage-induced madness, however he sells it well enough. It's certainly a highlight of the film when he starts shooting a Nerf gun-colored grenade launcher at everyone. He even gets a scar-covered face just in time for a final fight with the film's heroine. Deep Blue Sea 3 is a pretty bad movie, but it's actually the best kind. While it's not breaking any new ground or even bringing a presentable level of CGI, there is an interesting and beautiful setting and cinematography. There are token efforts to change the formula, and they are mostly successful. The visuals are amazing for such a low-rent film, but it also suffers from a blatant male gaze when it comes to the female lead. This is definitely the second best film in the franchise of 3 movies. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video if you think others will like it. But above all, remember, stay safe and be who you are.